let's take your views, Madalitso. How are you feeling?
Today?
Yeah,
No, I think I'm good. Yesterday I didn't do anything. I didn't touch my assignments. I didn't touch my laptop.
yeah.
Once I was done with class, I just came direct to my room. I watched the movie, then I
Okay.
slept because I didn't want to stress myself for this weekend. So I'm fine. I'm good.
How's your experience so far with the Chevening scholarship and this
Oh,
journey?
it's lovely. I enjoy it. I love it. And I think for me, I would want to give a background. Even during our orientation, I think someone could have mentioned that we have got someone from Africa who has
Yeah.
been applying for more than 5 years and didn't give up, and that was me. I
Oh,
started applying in 2017, and then in 2020, I was put on reserve. 2022 again, I was put on
okay.
reserve.
Yeah.
And then I think for 2024, I gave up. I just gave up and I didn't even want to apply again. But, I gave it a second thought. I applied actually on the last day and I didn't even edit my essays. I just got the same essays that I used the previous year
Whoa.
and then just cut and paste, and I submitted the application. Luckily, I was shortlisted for an interview and I went through, an intensive coaching like what we're about to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, I made it. And I'm here. I'm
Great.
here the second biggest seat in England.
Yeah.
So proud of you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Miss Kamal? How's your
So,
experience so far?
okay, so the thing is, I applied for the first time. It
Yeah.
was my first attempt. I graduated 2 months earlier before submitting my application, like undergrad graduation.
Yeah.
But I was determined, like for last 2 or 3 years, witnessing other shifting scholars. Like they were very influential, very motivated. So I was like, I just want to graduate and apply for Shivning.
Yeah.
And luckily I did, and here I am.
Do you think which part was most difficult for you, whether the essay writing or interview?
Mm, trust me, I would say interview session was a bit difficult because I was not sure. Like, for example, it's not like the other job interviews, right? So even I was not that much, what should I say? Like, you can consider me as a fresher. So
Yeah.
I had not such kind of work experience or witnessed that job interview thing as well. So
Yeah.
I was so concerned about like how the interview will occur, and the whole thing was actually very easy because thanks to our alumni who are actually very helpful to guide me, like, this thing you have to do. So today, what I will just share is actually their tips.
Yeah.
I will just share with the next whoever is joining, interested to join the evening. So most of the tips actually not mine, what I got from previous alumni. So it's like I'm just following their legacy.
Yeah, same is the case with me, and I have also sought suggestions from alumni, and that really worked for me.
Yes.
Whatsoever I was preparing in my mind, so their suggestions were entirely different. So I applied their suggestions. I thought that that must work, and that they worked. Yeah. Should we start? I
Yeah,
think.
sure.
Yeah. Good day to everyone, and very warm welcome from all of us. And it's truly encouraging to see all of you that you are all passionate and motivated about the Chevening. Chevening is a UK flagship scholarship award, and this award is for the future change makers, the leaders who can create the impact. Myself, Dr. Abdurazak, I am a Chevening scholar from Pakistan for the cohort 2025 and 2026. I'm pursuing Masters in Public and Environmental Health Sciences from University of Birmingham. And by experience and qualification, I am public health specialist, mental health advocate, researcher, and multinational freelancer. Let's have introduction of our colleagues, and thanks to them for sparing their valuable time. And let's start with Ms. Kamal. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, and good morning and good evening. So I am Mahbooba Kamal. I'm a Chevening Scholar from Bangladesh, 2025. Currently, I'm studying my Masters of Law in Human Rights at University of Birmingham, and I'm the founder of Bangladesh Society of International Law. And my core interest is actually in women's rights and gender justice. Thank you, Mr. Razak.
Yeah. Mr. Moderator, have your introduction. Please. We can't hear you, Moderator. Can you please unmute?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my name is Madali Sopiri. I'm coming from Zambia, and I'm the 2025-2026 Chevening cohort, and I'm pursuing Master of Science in International Development with Strategic Management at the University of Birmingham. And I think my core areas or interests are in, climate change, public health, and also community development. So I already have a master's in public health, in health policy and management, but because of my area of interest and the intensity and the goodness of this scholarship, I had to, take up another chance to pursue a second master's. So I'm glad to be here to share my experience with you guys so that I can motivate you and see how we can win together.
Thank you so much, Moderator. We'll formally start this session, and we will start with Ms. Kamal to give tips about the leadership part of the essay and how you can tackle this in your interview. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Razak. So, as we all know, Chevening Scholarship is given to leaders or who are willing to be leaders. So, in the interview, your most, what should I say, like the most important essence of that interview will be your leadership skill. So, how to actually demonstrate it in the interview? You can just start from your introduction. So ideally, the interview will start with your introduction. So in your introduction, what you can do, like you can mention about your academic background, your professional background, but the most important part will be to reflect your field. For example, when I did my introduction here, what I ended was my passion or my field. So in the same thing you should do in that interview session. But I didn't, like give a bit details about it. In the introduction, you shouldn't do it. You just refer it, like what's your field? Like, for example, I am doing my Masters of Law in Human Rights. So there are several aspects of Masters of Law, like my friends are doing criminal justice and so many other things. But I am very specific here. I am doing human rights. But human rights itself is a broad topic, right? So you have to niche your area. Like I mentioned that it's women justice, gender equality, gender justice. So you have to make it very niche and try to mention it in the introduction so that the panel is already aware about you and your passion. But what people do most of the time is like they made their introduction like 4 to 5 minutes. Please don't do that. Like your introduction should be ideally 1 to 2 minutes at max. And most important part, for example, in my interview, they haven't asked me, like, just introduce yourself. They straightly went to, just like tell us what's leadership mean to you. So if they do it, just please don't make that mistake to just introduce yourself. If they're starting with that, the question, don't even bother to give your introduction, because I remember I practiced like for 1 month, like to how to refine my introduction. So I was like fully prepared, like, I will enter the room, I will say it, and then I will just give my introduction. I was so, excited to introduce myself, but they haven't asked me. So if they are not asking you, please don't give that introduction, like which, because this is the one question you have that, like what should I say, full mark, because nobody can explain or introduce better than you yourself. But if they don't, like, please don't do it. So now the most important part. So what is leadership mean to you? Or give us an example of your leadership or influence. So here is the catch. Ideally, what you should do is connect the question or connect your answer. For example, they only asked me what leadership meant to me. So here's the catch. They really want to hear what you understand about your leadership. They are not asking for any dictionary definition of leadership. So for example, if you think that your understanding of leadership is something problem solving, for example, or something that you think that empathy itself is a leadership, so when you will give your example, it must reflect that. Now the thing is, like, the most common question I heard from other aspirants, like, should we only focus on the example we have mentioned in the essay? It actually depends. If you think that whatever you have written in the essay is enough, or you think that no, you want to explain more, interview session is your chance. So you can explain more. For example, in my essay, I mentioned something. I have written the potential impact, because that time I didn't have that thing. Like, I don't know what will be the impact. But when I entered the interview session, I had that impact. So I shared that, because in the essay, that thing was not mentioned. So if the same thing is relatable to you, just please explain the impact of it. So how to just, like, share the whole example. Like in essay as well, we have, like, most of, like, scholar I have talked with, they most of the time we approach, like, the approach we take is star method. So I know, like, most of you are aware of star method, but if you don't, I'd like to just explain to you guys. So star stands with situation. So what was the issue, what the problem, and the time is most vital here. Like, for example, was it a conflict era situation? Was it a climate displacement kind of situation? What was you the time? Because that thing actually made your problem more impactful or more critical. So just refer it, like, when was the time? For example, when I mentioned about one example, it was during the uprising of Bangladesh 2024. So that time is very vital here. So please mention the time. And then your action. If you are doing something from your organization as well, don't just refer that, I am working with XY organization and XY organization did it. The panel is not willing to know what your organization is doing. It's like what you did. What is your contribution? What was for example, what was, like, was it something like research or something like doing a advocacy, doing a training, whatever you did. So it should be you, because you are the leader here, so not your organization or something else. Focus on you. That's the most important. If we can give you, like, any scholar will say the same thing, focus on yourself, what you did. And finally, the most important part is what was your impact or situation, like the whole thing you mentioned. So, what was your impact of your work? So, here the thing is, if possible, try to mention a number. For example, how many people were, like, positively affected by your leadership, or potential number, or for example, try to focus a particular community. For example, in my case it was women, or it can be anything, but try to focus a community or any particular gender, anything you like to do. So but you have to understand, if you want to give 2 or 3 example, it should not be like, for example, in women's rights is a broad topic, right? So I am also interested in climate change. I am also interested in digital rights. So they both are very diverse, right? But you have to connect in the interview board. It should not sound like, you suddenly switch your field. It should not be like that. Whenever you are explaining, your answer should flow like with the same thing. Like it should not feel like, okay, at first she mentioned about climate change, suddenly she is mentioning about digital rights. It should not be like this, because you should focus on a particular theme and it can be anything. So for example, Dr. Razak was interested in mental health, so the whole time it should focus on particular theme. It should, like, whenever you are saying, your passion should be visualized, like you are the one, your what you did, what is your leadership, what you think of leadership. And most of the time I heard that, for example, now I said that I'm the founder of Bangladesh Society of International Law. But when I like applied for Chevening, I wasn't, because I founded this one after becoming a scholar. So I was a simply research fellow, which is a bit higher than research intern. So then why I'm here? Because it's not about your positions, it's like what you did. So try to focus on your work, your passion, because they really want to hear from you your passion. So if you can do that in that interview within 4 to 5 minutes, you are good to go.
Yeah.
And that's all from my end from leadership part.
Yeah, we are running out of time, so I would request Madalito to have talk on networking. Yeah. Please open your mic. Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you very much for this opportunity. I think the networking essay is one essay which is a bit complicated, and if you don't really understand it and how you need to answer it, then you may lose quite a lot of marks. I'll start with the mistakes that most people make. The first one is that you would want to start explaining or defining what networking is. You spend more time on that. And then the second mistake that you're going to make is for you just to listing like platforms to say, I'm on LinkedIn, WhatsApp, and all that stuff. You interact with these people without going deep into how these interactions have helped the community, and also not mentioning the professional context, not putting the professional context to your networking. So the first question that you need to ask yourself is, what does networking mean to me? So for me, what I would advise is that your answer should be very well structured and coherent. So in your essays, the essays that you wrote, my advice and the advice that I got from other people is that you need to identify the attributes of those interactions that you had with those people. And a good networker, or the attributes of good networking, I give an example. You need to have interpersonal skills, okay? You should also have mobilization and communication skills. When you have got interpersonal skills, you are a people go-to person. Like, people can easily approach you. Mobilization skills, communication skills, and all that stuff. So in your essays, you need to identify these attributes and the impact that attribute had on the community. For example, if you talk about, I've got a good networker is someone who has got interpersonal skills. How did you use the interpersonal skills to benefit the community? So you can say, the good networker has got interpersonal skills, and I used this when I attended a conference, for example, and I met, these prominent people. I approached them, talked to them, and from that time, I created this relationship that up to now, I still use. But you don't need to end there, because we want to see how this interaction, how this relationship has helped the community. So for example, if you met this prominent person, you have been in contact, how have you used this connection to help the community? So you can give an example. When I attended this conference, I met, for example, the minister, and up to now we have been in contact with this minister. And then at some point, because there was an issue in a community where we did not have, maybe we had potholes, or maybe we had, gender-based violence and all that stuff, I had to talk to this minister because of the relationship that I have with him to come and address this issue in the community. So at that point, you have shown how your interpersonal skills has helped you build this relationship, and how this relationship has helped you to help solve a problem in a community. So you have to be very, very clear and coherent when answering this question. For example, I can give another example because you need more examples for you to answer this question so that you understand. You would say a good networker also has got good mobilization skills. So you would say in a certain position that you have, you try by all means to mobilize people to come and champion or address a certain challenge. Like in my case, when I was with Global Health Corps, this is an example that I'm giving, I was the national events coordinator. And then I realized that in one of the areas, there was a health facility which did not have mattresses and also bed sheets. So I had to mobilize the Global Health Corps alumni, and then we went flat out to fundraise money. After fundraising the money, we used that money to buy some mattresses and bed sheets, which we donated to that maternity ward in that health facility. So you see that from these mobilization skills as a good networker, I used it to impact the community. So even when you answer this question, firstly, you need to define. A good networker is someone who has got mobilization skills, interpersonal skills, and then you link them to the essay that you wrote. That way you'll be coherent and very well structured. Just one more tip, Doc. I know.
Yeah, be fast.
Okay. Just one more tip. One more tip. And then lastly, sometimes the questions that are asked not direct to say, oh, tell us about your mobilization skills. I mean, your networking skills, or sometimes they would ask you to say, tell us at the time you used your networking skills to solve a problem. So you can briefly talk about that, and then don't spend much time explaining that. You need to quickly go into what you wrote in the essay, because you forget to write what you wrote in the essay. You can just talk about it, then you say, for example, like I wrote in my essay, this is how I use my networking skills to sort out this problem, and give those examples. And please don't give one example. Try by all means to give at least 2 or 3, maximum 3, so that they see that you are a well-rounded, good networker, not just one example. Then they'll start questioning and say, oh, just one, but if you give this example, give that example, give another example, then they will know that, okay, this person knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We are running out of time, so we are skipping the UK part, and I'm going directly to the career plan part. And I would say the career plan is the heart of your Chevening interview, because Chevening is much more interested in the people rather than in your studies or in your masters. They want to see that what you will do after completing your study, and what impact will you made in your country, and how it's aligning with the UK's interest in your country, and how it's aligning with your national priorities. So always I start with why you have chosen this career plan, and why it's important to you, why it's important to your country, why it's important to UK, how it will contribute to your communities. Then connect your whole history, like in one history, like past, present, and future. What you have done in past, what you are doing now, and what you will do after pursuing this master's degree in future. And your career plan should be focused on the country rather than yourself. You can't say that this career plan is just for your career growth. You would say this is for the growth of your country. So it will put a great impact on you. And I already said it should align with the national priorities. And you should highlight your leadership as Mahbooba said, you would say that I will lead this project, rather than you would say that I will take part as a monitoring specialist or technical officer. You would say I would leave this project, so that it should look that without you this project is impossible or nearly possible, and that your plan should be smart, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. And it should have the short term, medium term, and long term goals. And with the short term, which outputs you will get; with medium term, which outcomes you will get; with long term, which impact you will get with this. So you should have a clear idea. And if the interviewer asks from you that if